Singapore is setting up a rail reliability task force to tackle recent train disruptions. It'll be chaired by the Land Transport Authority and include rail operators SMRT and SBS Transit, as well as specialists. The task force is expected to submit its recommendations by the end of the year, as Claudia Lim reports.
A spate of train disruptions since the start of the year has fueled growing frustration among commuters. The new task force will review 15 key disruptions since July, with 6 of them caused by power faults. It will identify aging components that need replacement or more maintenance. Bringing forward system renewals for both the North East and Circle Line are also among plans. The task force will also conduct full technical audits of critical systems, including maintenance, operations and staff readiness. It will aim to reduce the impact of service delays to commuters as well. This is by looking at how to improve response time during disruptions and ensuring that ground staff are trained to respond quickly.
Our rail system is getting older. Also, let's not forget about the part that actually the number of lines in our whole rail system has been increasing significantly as well. So obviously, with more lines, with aging, problems like this will come in. The important part is maintenance and whether it is enough.
Acting Transport Minister Jeffrey Sell acknowledged that train systems are complex and things can go wrong even with redundancies in place. He's asked LTA to share more information with the public on these incidents. Meanwhile, the National Transport Workers Union says it will stand by its workers, ensuring that they have the resources and training they need. The government earlier set aside an additional $1 billion over the next 5 years to improve the rail system.
And for more analysis, we're joined by Associate Professor Raymond Ong. He is Deputy Head of Research and Enterprise in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at NUS. Raymond, great to have you with us. Now, let's start with this. Why is there a need for this task force, especially right now?
I think the fact that we have seen 15 disruptions over the past 3 months have actually created that frustration within our commuters. And I believe that the ministry and LTA themselves have heard those voices. And therefore, we can see that there is actually a need to actually have a group of people such as the task force that we have seen to really look into the issues that cause the disruptions, to audit the systems and to look into the recovery plans and even staff training to deal with the recovery of such services during the disruption itself.
And speaking of the people in the task force, we know the task force will be led by the LTA chief, also SBS and SMRT CEOs. Now, is this a case of leaders checking themselves? And how effective will the task force be without independent members?
I think it is not a case of the leaders checking themselves. It is basically the fact that railway systems globally in developed cities or developing cities are inherently different, meaning that the engineering hardware and the technical software are actually being localized. So it really means that what may have been seen in another city cannot be wholly transferable to Singapore. And therefore, the agency such as LTA has to really work with the operator, in this case, both SMRT and SBST, to develop solutions. Moreover, when we talk about this task force, I believe that there will be OEMs, suppliers, equipment suppliers, and even perhaps international experts who will actually lend their experience in the various aspects of the systems, the procedures, the recovery aspects, and perhaps even the communications aspect to provide good expert opinions in the task force which is to be delivered.
And you mentioned earlier the suppliers. So the task force is also focusing on accelerating the replacements and the upgrades of components. So why was this not done before? And could there be other areas that might emerge as blind spots?
I think it's not really to say that it's not done before, because the planning of upgrading of the Northeast Line and the Circle Line are already in the works. But it's more like we are accelerating the pace, because we can see that as the assets grow older, there is actually a higher probability that these components, such as the power components or even any complex components, a critical component, could actually result in a service disruption. And not to forget that the Northeast Line is currently the only line that's serving the northeast part of Singapore, and the Circle Line is actually a bridging line that actually connects the east-west, north-south, northeast line, and even the downtown line. So you can see that these two lines are critical infrastructure in the network itself. So therefore, there is actually a need to actually look into accelerating renewal programs and the component replacement part, so that the service disruption aspect and the recovery aspect can be better dealt with.
And going forward as well, do you see the task force adequately addressing these potential reliability gaps, both in vendor performance, also staff readiness, and even the contractor standards as well?
I think these three aspects are definitely something that is worth looking at, because when we are talking about the vendor performance, it's inherently related to both staff readiness and contractor standards. For example, let's say the performance of whether the line gets disrupted or not may actually deal with a single part of a component, an engineering component, which actually may require some harmonization of standards across the different operators. And this will also be tied into the detection of such a defect, or even the staff readiness to identify the defect more effectively, more efficiently, in a timely manner before any failure happens. So you can see that these are integrated systems, and I hope that the task force should be actually looking into this, and there's a mandate given to them to look into the renewal program, a technical audit of the critical components.
Raymond, thank you so much for your insights. That was Associate Professor Raymond Ong, who's Deputy Head of Research and Enterprise in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at NUS.